Hello, everybody. This is Living Where the Darkness, Changeling and Dreaming, the new hope game in the Living Where the Darkness. I think I said it twice, but whatever. Today we have a Rider de Con, Ap Alil, the Squire of House Alil. The He wanted to do some talking with his higher ups, but he did not get any responses, so he is doing his monthly cycle. But let's actually hear it from the players. So tell me, Robbie, what is a rider is doing?
So Ryder's kind of MO, the way he operates, is he's New York sort of yuppie. But his monthly cycle, as it's been referred to, is he meets a group. His pisky nature means he can kind of blend in with groups quite well, and he very much enjoys it. And he'll meet a new group or a new girl or a new guy, and kind of get in with a small group of people who are kind of also young, uh, enjoy the nightlife, etc. Over a few weeks, he will build up a relationship with these people or this person, getting some kind of trust of them, even if it's just the trust of friendship. And then once he's gained some glamour from this, and also gained some kind of enjoyment from this, once then he'll be bored of these people. Once the novelty of them has worn off, he will discard them. Sometimes just ghosting them, disconnecting completely, not turning up to an event if it's been a romantic encounter. He will sometimes do something to hurt them. With a group of friends, sometimes if the opportunity presents, it may be a greater betrayal, and then he will often perform one of the darker forms of the Fae getting glamour, but not always. And
The
yeah, but so he spends a lot of time out in fashionable New York places. He also is a drug dealer, so he sells drugs.
um, this is one of those days where he is talking with a guy who is an upcoming DJ who has a interest in going around in other parties, but he heard a writer knows. Um, he heard a writer is a guy to go to. The conversation may be boring for a writer. He talks about the parties he has been in. Man, writer can easily guess that those are kind of shitty parties and nobody gives a shit. But he has money. It seems he is a bit rich, so he may be useful to keep around for a while. But when the conversation was happening, he points the door and he says, "Whoa, whoa, man, look at that."
Ryder will turn around and see what's coming.
What's coming is an appearance 5 individual.
Yeah, I will get Ryder's human picture up if I can.
In a weird way that she has a famine as well that only probably Ryder can see in this room. And Ryder knows this person. She is the Baroness of Manhattan, Baroness Anna Sylvia. And behind the Baroness, this guy who Ryder never saw before, but he also is a famine and he's a troll that looks a bit crazy, powerful. His muscles are insane. His horns are very big. This only can be Sir Megor.
Mhm.
The the woman looks around and she sees Ryder. She smiles, but she doesn't come near Ryder, doesn't acknowledge his presence yet. But there is the rooms for high class individuals who comes to this bar slash restaurant type of place. And it is kind of seen that she is uh it is kind of like there that she arrived this place before because her place is readied for her before she arrived. Anna Sylvia, known to Ryder, is old reporter for Channel 4. So she is a bit famous. And the person who was talking with the DJ guy, whose name is Jonas, he says, oh man, wasn't that Anna Sylvia, the old reporter from Channel 4?
I don't know how to watch TV.
I follow her from Instagram, man. She is hot as hell. Everybody wondered why she left Channel 4.
Retta looks over. She looks okay. I bet I could buy her a drink.
I mean, his boyfriend seems crazy. I don't want to I don't want to get punched by that guy.
Tell you what, I bet you $100 I can buy her a drink and go sit with him.
And fuck off. No, you can't.
Okay. Ryder's
Yep.
gonna order a bottle of some expensive bottle of wine, like expensive bottle of champagne. Like I don't know what kind this club has, but a bottle of Cristal is probably gonna be like $200-300. But he'll spend it
Mhm.
to meet the Baroness.
The When you go towards the area where that uh actually let me translate this to
Ryder
you.
will actually what he'll do is he'll buy it for them and he'll tell like one of the like waiters to like take it to them and say it's from him.
Oh, okay. Um, in Turkish, there's a thing called loja,
Mm.
which is lodge. I think, like she has a lodge or a like a place for her own where she enters and or maybe place prepared for her, a room.
Yeah,
It's
like a VIP.
behind a red sheet,
Yeah, like the
red carpet. No, not carpet. What the fuck?
like a curtain.
Curtain, yes. But yeah, you can still send a thing there.
Yeah.
When he does, the guy takes it and um, the person who works there takes the drink. And when he comes back, the waitress actually says, um, Sir, my apologies. They invite you to the room.
Ryder's gonna look at his new friend and wink.
You are a one lucky motherfucker. You know that, right?
I know. Well, you have the money tomorrow?
Yeah, I will give it when you come back. God damn it.
He'll smile and yeah, have a good night. And he'll leave and head towards the private area.
You enter the private area, and the curtain will be opened by Sir Magor. Anna Sylvia is sitting. She is sipping the champagne you bought. Ryder, how nice to see you here.
He will give a bow. Like is the curtain back so like it's kind of private?
Yeah, it is private.
He'll bow. How do you address a baron, Your Grace?
No, the Baron is my lady, or my lord, or my lady.
My lady, you honor this place.
Honor is a lie, but please have a sit.
Ryder will smile, and yeah, he will seat. I have not had the honour, sir, but I am Squire Ready Khan at Belil. I'm studying under Sir Justin. And he will bow deeply. He will not. He does presume this is Sir Magor, but he won't be. He won't presume anything openly.
He doesn't say anything, but the Baroness says, "This is Magor. He is a knight under Manhattan. He doesn't like to speak a lot, but she smiles and he nods.
Your reputation speak for you, good sir.
He smiles. The Anna Sylvia checks her phone and then puts the phone back. Closes the phone. Like when I say closes the phone, like puts it away where you can't see the texts.
Mm-hmm.
And I need you to roll your Pisky flaw.
Oh, oh, nice. Okay. Um.
Willpower, difficulty 7.
Okay.
Actually, difficulty 6 because it's not an insane thing. You have enough money. There is no $10,000 phones anyway.
Changeling.
I didn't open the scene. I should do that.
I just did it. It's alright.
Okay.
So the willpower. I think. I have. I think at least 3 successes.
So explain how this writer acts.
So Ryder is sitting there. He has this Ryder's. He often has a very like fake smile, like he thinks of it in many ways as being like his mask. And as she puts the phone down, his hand just slightly moves towards it, and then without breaking the smile on his face, he just takes his hand and puts them both on the table, and he sits on his hands.
I have heard that you wish to meet with me, so why we can I believe we can have our little meeting here.
A happy coincidence, no doubt, my lady.
Exactly. Can you roll me quick wits politics?
Oh, let me get my sheet.
You can't botch this roll.
Oh, yeah, I can't. Huzzah. Politics, just one. So 2 successes.
Maybe meetings in the barony freehold can be problematic with a Gwydion presence, constant Gwydion presence inside.
Mm. Very wise, using this opportunity to have the meeting. It's quite a nice crowd here. No, a nicer atmosphere, I find. But yes, I did wish to speak with you, my lady. Me and one of the squires from Queens were in conversation. Your wise words that you said about us finding allies um, made me think that we have something Queens needs, and Queens maybe has something that we need from them. And that if we could come to some kind of mutual arrangement, it could be very beneficial for us.
She seems to think about what you said. And then her hands move, gestures in a way for you to continue.
Ryder just thinks in his head, so classy.
This is indeed a classy bitch.
And he continues, I took the trouble of writing up an agreement. The Baron of Queens has apparently said that he'd be willing to listen to whatever we said, but I didn't want to go ahead without. I mentioned it to Sir Justin, but I didn't want to go ahead without your permission. I can give you the broad strokes if you'd like. More or less is summed up as Queens needs military support. We could provide that. Queen, if we sent unseelie warriors to assist Queens and arms and armor for their armies from the best weaponsmiths in all of New York, well, that could go a long end to breaking the stalemate they currently have with Athelaine. This would also endear us to the other baronies, as it would look like we are doing our community spirit. And in return, I think Queens would be more than willing to do some small things for us. The first would be they would buy exclusively from us, uh, somewhat limiting the purchasing power going towards the Trade Federation, and also we would negotiate for primary plunder rights. Anything that is taken from the Thelaine, we would take the lion's share of it in return for our services. This would go a long way to filling the gap in raw resources that Goblin Town currently is lacking. The glamour, raw materials, weapons, and access to territories would I think be beneficial for us, at least in the short term, until we can find a more permanent trading solution.
The decision of which territory goes to whom is not falls to me or him. It falls to the countess or the count.
I understand. There is no right of conquest.
The the right of the mezzanine in the sheet says the lord or lady is a ruler of their domain. They judge and jury all crimes, large or small. Their word is law. The we are in the New Hope, and under the Concordian laws and the Kingdom of Apples, the island of Long Island doesn't belong to anybody. Actually, it falls to the Duke because it's his lands.
But if lands have been conquered, would it not be bad practice of the Countess not to give it to those who took it?
I I think what would happen is they would put a new person in charge in that land because Long Island is huge. It's nearly big as the New York itself, or it's close to the Queens and the Brooklyn. But she kind of thinks for a second. when the such things are talked in closed or open doors, we can push and state that it is us who conquered the place.
I was thinking in my limited wisdom that territory is one thing, but what is really valuable is the riches of that territory. This territory would be difficult to govern. Away from Manhattan, there will still be Thalane attacks or rebels or something. So, what we would push for with Queens would be the spoils of war. They wish to defend their land. We would help them do that, and in return, we would take the lion's share of the spoils of war, the raw resources. Unless I am wrong, Manhattan, uh, we would be better suited with the riches of the land rather than the land itself.
She nods. There is some blacksmiths in Queens, but it is not. It is not a goblin town, or is it not a? It's not a trade federation. I don't think they need the raw materials that we need, but they do need materials that is used for healing herbs, which is not something the Goblin Town uses a lot.
I could add that as a caveat. A rough, a rough number I came up with was a 75-25 split in our favor on the spoils of war of any territories conquered or any prisoners taken.
I think what happens when the prisoners, like when there's a Tulane prisoner, it depends on the Tulane, but mostly they get killed after getting questioned.
Uh,
The the more important ones are usually given to the county. It's they do question, but if it's like very important person, as Alexander is a Fiona and the Countess is a Fiona, the Countess has very deep interest in the success of Alexander. Alexander is a simple-minded individual who does not wishes to disrespect his Countess. Roll me perception empathy. She has 3 successes.
I have three too.
It seems that when she said simple-minded, it kind of catches you that she didn't really mean that.
Okay.
Like the way she, maybe the tone. I think the tone was perfect, but maybe you just catch something about it that it didn't make sense to you. It kind of dawned on you that maybe that wording, that maybe her cheek just moved a bit differently. Her eyes.
Okay. Ryder bears that in mind. There is something deeper with Alexander and her, perhaps. Ryder will just say, I think there will be many benefits to this alliance. Two of the other caveats would be Firstly, that there will be no others bought into it. We do not want the Flaming Falcon interfering in our business. Secondly, it would be if there were to be a group of our Manhattan's warriors aiding their. Well, and he'll actually push over like a piece of paper that has the stuff written down. And the long and the short of it is basically like that the unit would be like semi-independent, and although they would be under the overall command, they would be like kind of treated equally as the rest of the Queen's forces, and not, um, but basically like yeah, like kind of independent, and that they would represent Manhattan and they would have to be respected in that, and like they can't be asked to act against Manhattan. If something goes wrong, they'll face like Manhattan's justice rather than Queen's. Like the Baron of Queens can't like execute them. But he can like
Hmm.
just send them back to Manhattan and then like ask the Baroness what happens with it. And basically, the Baroness's like authority will be respected with them.
Hmm. She kind of takes the paper first and then starts reading a bit, you know. The first one makes absolute sense. I don't think he would ask that, but it's good to be on paper. Same with the second one. The issue with the third is this. It would seem a bit disrespectful because he is the person who is leading the queens, and the overall authority of dealing the defense of queens is given to him. So when there's something going on in Queens, and when he is the commander of those forces, it would be a bit disrespectful to tell him that you can't judge them. He would immediately bring the sheet and arrive at the mezzanine.
It would not be a break of the Ashit if he has agreed to the terms. That is what terms are. No?
He can say that he would not agree to something that is again that it is not making sense, like going well with the sheet. What we can do is she bit looks Ryder in the eye, not in an intimidation way, but as in I know why you put this type of way.
Mm-hmm.
Because like as far as she understands, Ryder put this because if like they went six guy and five guys arrived back, he does not want to answer Alexander regarding like there will be questions given, but if Alexander doesn't like the answers, he does not want to be responsible to Alexander, but to be responsible to her, the Baroness.
Basically, like diplomatic immunity, yeah.
Exactly. I think we can say that because there's two baronies having an issue, at that point, if there is one, it will be two barons, two baronies who will decide what will happen. Because he may take this as a disrespect to his authority on his land. And I'm not saying because this kind of benefits me, but I also need you to understand that if for him to accept this, he's entering a risk of him working with us. And if Fitzis finds out, he is turning his back to Gwydians, therefore Dougal's and Liam's. The Brooklyn has aided, this Bronx aided, Flaming Falcon aided the Queens. Maybe their aid is not enough, and our aid will be much better, in my opinion. But he's taking a risk by aiding us after Sir Genesis fuck up. Because there's a duchy literally near our border telling everybody that they sell things to other baronies and making sure that they can't sell those things to us.
I understand. My only issue would be if whichever brave and noble officer or junior officer of Manhattan would go and help. I think it would be of great benefit to the Barony of Queens if they were able to fight the war their way. There are certain things that I have personally found being unseelie. Not that, of course, Manhattan is per se um, all an unseelie barony, but the Sealies are not willing to do, and it gives them a distinct disadvantage against the Thelane. I would not want there to be any issues brought up if,
Hmm.
for example, if our code was broken. The Flaming Falcon, if they feel that we have not lived up to some preposterous rules of war, I do not wish for any of my troops, and he corrects himself, any of the troops, to be brought up on field marshal issues. If there was an understanding between yourself and Alexander kind of off the books about this, then that would be that would be good. If we were to answer directly to him and to you, rather than some middling Flaming Falcon officer who seems to think that um, dying gloriously is preferential to actually getting the job done.
How about this? Because this paper actually states that this alliance between us will remain hidden from anybody.
It doesn't actually say hidden out of character. It simply means
Oh,
not.
okay.
It's not about being hidden. It's about like no one else jumping in on it.
I must have misread that. I'm sorry. This, she asked, this contract and alliance, your idea was to keep this extremely hidden. Am I correct?
He shrugs. I feel that would be for the higher ups. I do not see why it would be a particular issue for him for there to be. Naturally, the terms of the deal would not be told to others, but I think if people knew that some arrangement had been made for Manhattan to send warriors to help Queens, I don't see why this would be a issue.
Mm,
And that we are friends.
here is the thing. As you know, we have advisors, and they have a right to veto us. The second we say that there's a deal, they will have ask the deal, and then they will run to their dad, Itamar, and Itamar will come to me and say he demands this because he is given a right by the regent, and then when I refuse, I will go to Countess, and then he will go to Countess, and the Duke will arrive, and then Countess will tell me, well, I guess we will have to tell the deal.
What is the purview of the right to the Flaming Falcon? Are they allowed to be involved in every single trade deal, for example? Every private deal among citizens?
I she kind of like she kind of smiles to Ryder. The regent of Concordia, who is basically the person leading the Concordia in High King's name is Flaming Falcon. And he set the right of annulment in three places: one in Kingdom of Grass, one in Kingdom of Apples, this county, and one in Kingdom of Willows. Extremely important cities who has powerful, very powerful, unsteely presence. Uh, Were you in the were you in the trial of Terry?
I don't know.
Did you see what Maven did?
Out of character, I did. I can't remember though.
Okay. Maven, basically, the Flaming Falcon was like, we're going to use Rite of Annulment and make sure that the Terry gets a better punishment because we don't think this is a proper punishment. And Maven said, the Rite of Annulment says you can, veto any noble. The judge isn't noble, so you can't veto her because your right is to veto nobles and not the commoners. Basically, they made a dumb mistake in writing, and Maven used that mistake to fuck them over. So she asks, did you see what Maven did?
I don't know.
I have heard there is another declaration coming soon regarding how they will be able to change verdicts, even if it's done by commoners or commoner judges. So they are indeed extremely powerful right now, and they are not compromising with us. They are actually just demanding things, and it is getting extremely problematic for me.
Perhaps the deal would be best under the table then. If you think Alexander would be willing.
Well, if he wants our warriors, if he wants to save his people,
A good leader makes sacrifices.
the we can say that they will send soldiers, and they will probably never see our soldiers.
I like that.
And we can say that you will only serve, you will answer the Alexander and Alexander only. Therefore, he will have to meet in places that the Flaming Falcon is not around. Or use another party to reach to you and his orders, if there are such.
Could the soldiers not be visible and the deal simply be obfuscated? Us sending soldiers out of the goodness of our hearts to protect the county.
How do you get along with Sir Xavier,
Who's Sir Xavier?
the one who pushed Terry in Terry's bar.
Oh,
The guy who writes a Gwydion, a you know the what was the name of that? Oh fuck, I forget it. Um, the Empire's King.
oh,
In the
Griffin.
Warhammer. Yeah, he writes a Griffin. You saw him write a Griffin. He is the basically he is the Gwydion who is a Flaming Falcon who is there to aid. She air quotes the aid. The Queens.
Well, what about working through the Herald, Donna? I have a working relationship with her. I do not believe that she would violate that, especially if she was sworn not to. And she is low ranking enough that it may go under the radar. Me and her have been meeting for months.
It is not a problem for me, and if it's not a problem for Alexander, then I don't see why not. What I'm the issue is that Alexander is probably will try to keep both us and the Bronx as an ally as best as he can, because the Bronx does help the the Queens time to time.
I don't think we have a problem with this, do we?
No, I let me check this one last time. The coastal amenities. That'll be provided by us, Manhattan. Okay. Field of Justice. The commander of this unit will be involved in strategic planning. Commander of this unit will be with strategy planning, consult all matters in advisory role, made aware all military intelligence so as to remain effective.
That can just
She,
be ignored because it's going to be secret.
the, she smiles. The warriors from this unit will not be harassed, abused. Yeah, they won't dare. All military purchases to Barony will be done via Manhattan. Personal purchases unaffected. I think the raw materials part is going to be the one that we will have to understand. Maybe you can make a market research regarding what the Queen's people does sell and what do they get out of the No-Catane land. Therefore, we can say that you get this and we get that.
I think glamour we could come to some kind of split naturally in our favor as we are risking or the good warriors of Manhattan will be risking their lives. When it comes to specific materials, I could ask one of the merchants of Goblin Town to do that research. He'd probably be better at it than me.
Yeah, quite nice, by the way. I quite enjoy this work.
There is another question. Leading this unit, I have been told that the reputation of Samagor, who would naturally be the prime candidate, but that Alexander or Lord Alexander, for whatever reason, far above my station as a simple squire, is not a fan.
I have someone in mind to lead this group.
Oh, Ryder has like the most like, oh, I couldn't possibly imagine who. Look,
Yeah, she has a look of I'm going to tell you your name and you will act like you didn't knew it was.
mm-hmm.
You have done a great service, Ryder. Therefore, it should be you.
I would be honored. And Ryder does his very best to like simply as a matter of respect among alleles to he doesn't ham it up. He doesn't. In fact, I'm going to roll manipulation subterfuge because
Hmm.
he knows that she knows, but it's a matter of etiquette. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
The She smiles. There was a guy named Ivor. He's one of the mercenaries that works for Magor. Quite experienced. I think that makes two of you. Are there any others who you think that will help you or you will try to get in this journey?
Well, I will confess that my imagination has been running wild, and I have thought of several. There is a Redcap, the leader of a group called the Blood Axes. They are Redcaps, and these seem to keep themselves to themselves, but I think an opportunity to earn some kind of wealth. Naturally, we would offer them a small amount of the spoils, and reputation would mean they could be attracted to the concept. Uh, there are two of our barony called Zach and Chad. He looks to see if there's any reaction.
She knows them. She smiles.
I thought I might ask them.
Be careful with Sindri.
Oh,
He's he's a sorcerer.
fascinating.
The the regent of Concordia is Lord Titos. High Lord Titus Aretine at Gwydion.
Hmm.
There is a knight in Staten Island. His name is Sir Detlef Abertine.
How'd you spell that? Sorry.
Like this.
I'm only getting a bit of that. Sometimes Hangouts doesn't show me all of it. Can you shoot me on Facebook?
Oh, completely. This is the knight's name, and this is the High Lord's name. Basically, High Lord's son is actually in Staten Island. Can you roll me um wits and alertness?
Mm-hmm. Alertness. Mm-hmm. I have 2 successes.
You heard about Sir Detlef. You didn't knew his surname. You knew his nickname, which was Oathbreaker.
Nice. Ryder smiles at this. That seems the sort of person he might be interested in. If you think he would be if you think he would be a noble addition, then of course.
I think he is. I think he would be good to have. He's he's good at he was extremely good at riding horses from the tourney.
Wonderful.
The trying to think who else can be helpful to you, but I can't find at the moment. Is the Puka girl coming to us anytime soon?
No, alas. She is staying in her bar. But I have a contract with her that she will help us with certain small things. So I think she will. And we can certainly say that her loyalty to the barony she resides in has been, what little there was, has been thoroughly dashed. So she may not come to us physically, but I do not believe that all is lost. We could ask her. She's not much of a fighter, but she does have healing capabilities, which may be useful.
You're taking her with you?
I had considered it. What would you think?
I just hope that she doesn't die. Or any of you. But I just think that I should hope more for her.
Why is that?
The girl seems silly.
Perhaps this will toughen her up somewhat.
It is hard for me to respect someone who shoots arrows from a crossbow with her feet.
I would think, being of commoner stock, that having people underestimate you is often a very valuable tool. Terry has cultivated that very effectively to her own benefit. Imagine if she was a wilder, or somebody that was known as a competent warrior. Imagine the punishment she would have been given. Much harsher, I imagine.
The only reason that they didn't throw her away is because she was a childling, and kinda didn't know better. At least that's what they thought.
Exactly.
One thing that I need you to make sure is that if Terry turns out to be who I think she is, who I who she may be, which is a walking time bomb, that you're not beneath her rubble.
If something goes wrong with Terry, we will be in no Cathane land. Casualties happen.
Exactly.
Well, if there is nothing else, I will go speak to these people.
One thing.
Hmm?
Milk-Tainland is very important. It will serve us and give us an edge. Sorian, it seems, has found some stuff regarding Sir Janus and possible contacts that he has made.
Really?
Yes, but after this, maybe you can push the individuals who has hunted the Lwod down and be involved with it as well.
Certainly.
So Ryan is trying to make sure the names he's in undercover at the moment.
They still have the Slua captive, correct?
Yes,
Ryder just nods. Well, with your permission, I will go about and set this up.
have fun and be successful.
Ryder smiles, doesn't say anything, bows deeply to them both, and leaves. And goes back to his friend. And starts
And
spinning some story about, yeah, the ridiculous, some ridiculous thing that makes him look really good, blah, 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 blah.
would you like to end the scene here?
Absolutely.
Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. See you next time.